Clifford, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you, thank you for
We were
having
just
me.
chatting. Clear is a huge company, and you said you focus on the emerging markets. So I
Right.
just want to pick up the discussion from where we left.
Yeah, so we characterize the scope as access and emerging markets. The access countries are countries that have very low GNI per capita, gross national income per capita, and high disease burden. And then emerging markets are exactly what they're say, how it's characterized. They are dynamic, evolving economies, which they might not invest a lot in health right now, but they're not badly off countries.
When you look at emerging economies, and I'm going to talk to Preeta after you, most of the big foundations, including Gates and Clinton and others, they want drugs to be manufactured in India
Right.
and taken to other parts of the world.
Right.
I had spoken a long time ago to the founder of the heart medicine, Lipitor, and they said that they invested more than $1.5 billion for the research. So I was asking, why is the medicine expensive? I had to get a medicine for my wife which was not approved by the insurance. It was costing me here $62 a pill.
Right.
The same thing was available in India for less than 50 cents.
Right.
Why do you think that problem exists in these markets?
Yeah, so we studied that, and the fact remains when you have US corporations manufacturing in the United States, it will be 10x or even more expensive. Why? Because you have benefits and stock options, and you have 401ks, and everything is just more expensive on top of what you layer on. If you try to manufacture anything here in the California, Northern California Bay Area, I think recently the Bay Area has eclipsed New York as one of the most expensive real estates. So it naturally will be more expensive, which is why for us, we did a tie-up years ago with Indian generic manufacturers. It's a lot cheaper, and they're the best at low margin, high volume manufacturing.
But the penetration for them is very difficult. I had also interviewed some time back to the then chairman of the Reddy Labs in India, and he was fighting his own battles with companies here. So any thoughts on that? 10-year wait and then come into the market, otherwise we won't let you. So
yeah, I mean, for us, what we did, that is a dynamic, and it's true, particularly if someone wants to sell in the United States a drug that is not off patent as yet.
right.
Just the whole regulatory framework, even if it's off patent, to get it registered by the FDA in the US will cost a lot. So what we did, we said, I'm responsible for 140 countries. We looked at gross national income per capita. We looked at disease burden. We overlaid those two. And what we saw was that 116 of those 140 countries had the highest burden of HIV and very weak health systems or very little means to pay. So we said, why don't we do a technology transfer of our know-how to our Indian manufacturers? They will make the medicines, and they'll make them available in these 116 countries. They pay us a 5 to 3% royalty. And incidentally, at the same time, you had the Global Fund, which is a Geneva-based NGO, and the PEPFAR, which was the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, coming up at the time, providing money to sub-Saharan Africa and other regions to procure HIV medicines. So all of a sudden you had a market, a tender-based market, and an opportunity to sell. So it worked out. It doesn't always work that perfectly, but Indian manufacturers went from basis points to margins.
Sure.
So the challenge that Reddy might have outlined to you is still real. But for HIV and some of the other diseases that have international donor funding, it has really worked out.
To switch gears to innovation and entrepreneurship, startups who are very passionate about working in healthcare space.
Sure.
It's a long runway for them.
Yes, it's a long
What
journey.
have been your challenges working or opportunities when you work with startups?
You know, they're multifactorial. Sometimes it's just sheer unfortunate situation where the drug fails, or when you take an investment in a startup, all of a sudden the company comes into a lot of money, and individuals might not be as assertive as they were when it was just them.
Sure.
And then sometimes it becomes a successful collaboration. We just had one announced yesterday with a drug for inflammation with a company called Galapagos, and that seems to be working out. So in anything can happen. You just have to go with your eyes wide open about the possibility of failure as much as you're hoping for success.
And lastly, I'll flip the question. For startups whose dream is always to go and sell themselves to the likes of the Gileads, what is your advice to them?
Keep dreaming. Everything starts with a dream. I've been with Gilead 22 years. In 1996, when I joined them from Glaxo, we didn't have a drug. It was a dream, and Gilead actually has the history is that we were the first company to have a drug that failed to get FDA approval for HIV. So, you know, life is about ups and downs, and I will tell them to keep dreaming, because you know, first you dream, and then reality comes.
Right.
Yeah.
Great, it's a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
You so much.
All right,
Appreciate
take
it.
care.